Welcome, listeners, to a captivating journey into the tangled web of relationships, brought to you by Red on Red Hunt, where we explore the highs, lows, and everything in between. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join us on this roller coaster of emotions. Am I the antagonist for saying my sister used her mental health as an excuse for selfishness following our dad's death? Okay, first of all, I understand mental health, but I can't help but feel that in many cases, it's used as an excuse for poor behavior. My sister, 30-year-old female, and I, 34-year-old male, have been best friends our entire lives. We come from a large family, and I've always been the one defending and supporting her. It's not uncommon for my sister to isolate herself every 18 months or so, and spend most of her time playing Xbox and watching The Lord of the Rings. However, she has always remained engaged with our family. I have always been seen as the strong one, not just for her, but for the entire family. However, the truth is, I'm actually the most sensitive one, and I have my own struggles with mental health. Recently, our father passed away. He was the first close person in our lives to die, and this loss hit all of us hard. It fell on me to arrange the funeral and take care of everything else since our mother and the rest of the family were too overwhelmed with grief. After everything was sorted, I quickly went back to work as a registered nurse, but I realized that I was using work as a distraction from my own grief. Throughout this whole period, I was supporting my family, including my little sister. However, she never once tried to support me. I feel so alone in this world, and since our dad passed away, I feel like I've lost the one person who truly had my back. I needed my sister for the first time in my life, but she wasn't there for me. I had planned and paid for a motorhome holiday to Scotland for the two of us, but a week before she canceled on me. After that, she started ignoring my calls, drinking more, and using drugs. Strangely, though she was treating me like a stranger, she was actively engaging with extended family members on Facebook. She had created a new account and intentionally didn't add me. I tried multiple times to talk to her, sent her messages, and even sent money for my nephew's birthdays and Christmas, but I heard nothing back from her. Then, out of the blue, she pops up and says she ordered a cheap game for me on Xbox and that I should download it. She exchanged a few pleasantries and said she had hidden away until she felt like herself again. But I explained to her that this time, she was being selfish. She should have been there for me, just like I have been there for her my whole life. I feel like she couldn't use mental health as an excuse because mental health doesn't selectively affect people like that. It felt very personal. I was honest with her and told her that I didn't want her gift. I wanted her love, time, and support. I wanted a friend and a sister. I told her that her choice to drink and hide away was her decision, and I refused to be treated like a stranger so suddenly. She ignored me, ignored my calls, and has since blocked me. I received no explanation, nothing. I told her that I felt pushed away and alone, and her response was to push me away and make me feel even more alone. With the anniversary of our dad's death coming up, I just feel completely broken. So, am I the asshole for feeling that she is selfish and blaming mental health? It sounds like you've been there for your sister throughout her struggles with mental health, but when you needed her the most, she wasn't there for you. It's understandable that you feel hurt and abandoned. Mental health issues may explain her behavior, but it doesn't excuse it, especially when she seemed to engage with others while ignoring you. Am I the antagonist for refusing to go see relatives that did something 8 years ago that deeply offended me as an autistic person? I haven't had to see these relatives since, but my other family has twice. The first time, I had something else already planned, and the second time I was sick, so I didn't have to go. These relatives are celebrating something, and our whole family was, of course, invited. I told my parents straight up that I'm not going, so I don't need a ride, and they were not happy with me having no reason for it. So, I told them that I don't like these specific relatives because they're obese jerks, and the reason for that description? When I was around 16 during a similar party at these relatives' home, there was not enough space at the table inside the house for dinner. So I was directed outside to the patio to sit at the kids' table, which was set up for kids aged 3, 7, and 1 10-year-old. They even had those smaller children's lawn chairs and everything that I, with my already adult-sized body, had to fit on. And to my face, I was told, "You're still technically a kid, right? And you can watch after the other kids." What makes this ableist to me is that they knew I am autistic, though I have low support needs, subtle stims, easily mistaken for just an introvert if you don't know. It was clear that they were targeting me or just infantilizing me, as my 17 and 18-year-old cousins got to sit at the dinner table inside the house. I was deeply offended by this and quite sad afterward that nobody seemed to see anything wrong with how I was excluded and involuntarily given a babysitter role. Well, I told my parents that, and they just called me petty and unreasonable for refusing to see them because of a grudge for something so small and so long ago. They insisted that people just didn't understand autism back then, so it was just an unfortunate mistake. I still don't want to see those relatives. I don't feel welcomed after the last time I saw them, and I'm not close with them. I saw them maximum every 5 years before the whole thing anyway, so nothing would really change in either family's lives here. I just won't be attending those random celebrations anymore, and they'd have enough seats. I'm standing behind my decision even though the rest of my family is acting as if I'm going with them. The more I think about it, the less sure I am, and I don't know if I'm really being unreasonable here. So, am I the asshole for refusing to go because of an old grudge? It's completely understandable that you don't want to see those relatives after the way they treated you. It wasn't just a small mistake, it was a clear act of exclusion and disrespect based on your disability. Your parents should be more understanding and supportive of your decision. My girlfriend of 4 years admitted to cheating on me early in our relationship. What to do? My girlfriend of 4 years recently admitted to cheating on me shortly before we started officially dating in 2020. Here's some context. We dated from 2017 to 2018, but broke up when I went to study abroad. In 2019, during my final semester of studies, she contacted me again and we rekindled our relationship in October. We both agreed to be exclusive from that point on. A few months into our relationship, she left for a 6-month Erasmus program in January 2020. This was planned prior to us dating again. Despite the difficulty of being apart so early on, I trusted her and wanted her to have the experience. We maintained daily communication through phone calls, FaceTime, and texts. Everything seemed great. However, 5 days before I was scheduled to visit her in late February, she went out drinking with 4 single friends she met on Erasmus. She hardly texted me during that weekend, except for a few messages to inform me that her phone was dying and that she had arrived home at 1 a.m. on Sunday. It later turned out that she had met a group of guys that weekend, spent the night at their hostel, and even found a video on Snapchat posted by one of her friends showing them at the guy's hostel. My girlfriend wasn't in the video, and she couldn't explain her whereabouts at that time. On Sunday, she failed to text me except for letting me know her phone was dying. I acted normal, hoping she would explain everything once she was no longer with her friends. However, I found more stories from her friends that confirmed they spent the day with the same group of guys, sightseeing and enjoying food in the city. They even went out drinking with them again until 1 a.m. When she finally texted me on Monday, she gave a fabricated story about how they got drunk on Saturday, didn't charge her phone that night, and spent the entire Sunday sightseeing. She denied meeting anyone despite me having discovered everything. Eventually, I confronted her, and she admitted to everything but denied any cheating. She claimed it was easier not to tell me about staying at the hostel because she thought I would get the wrong idea, and her single friends brought her along. Though I accepted her explanation at the time, I remained suspicious due to her initial lies. Despite my suspicions, I decided to put it behind me when she came back 3 weeks later due to COVID. Our relationship continued and seemed great. However, in 2022, we were looking through her photos from her Erasmus experience, and I noticed some videos that caught my attention. They showed one of the guys from that night holding her phone, with both of them sitting next to each other in a flirtatious manner. Again, she denied any wrongdoing and claimed that she had made it clear to everyone that she had a boyfriend. I foolishly believed her and didn't think I had enough evidence to end the relationship based solely on a video. Things took a turn this week when I experienced a period of paranoia. She left her phone unattended, and I checked her Instagram messages. I found 2 flirty responses from the same guy in the video to her Instagram stories during her Erasmus time. She replied, but the conversation didn't go beyond that. With this evidence, I felt the need to uncover the truth. I wrote her a letter expressing my suspicions and the importance of trust in our relationship before considering marriage. I asked for a detailed explanation of the events from that weekend, or else I would reach out to the guy for confirmation. Her reaction was defensive, stating that messaging him would be a huge setback for our relationship and trust. However, I planned to message him for collateral since I already suspected she was lying. It was clear to me that she was restless and distressed. A few hours later, she came home unexpectedly and we had a conversation. She tearfully revealed that on the second night, Sunday, the guy tried to kiss her outside a bathroom and she kissed back. She claimed this happened away from the group and nothing else occurred. She promised that this was the whole truth, but I feel like she's only giving me the bare minimum of details to prevent me from contacting the guy and potentially uncovering more. She also mentioned that she hadn't realized the extent of the impact on me, which is why she didn't confess earlier. Despite understanding why she didn't disclose a single kiss, as it could be seen as a drunken mistake, I can't overlook the fact that she lied to me for almost 4 years despite my concerns. I love her and always have, but I would appreciate some second opinions on the situation. Damn, that's a tough situation. It definitely sounds like she cheated on you, and it's pretty messed up that she hid it for so long. I don't know if she's telling the whole truth now, but it's suspicious that she only admitted to it when you threatened to message the guy. Personally, I don't think I could forgive someone for lying for that long, but ultimately it's up to you and what you can handle. My friend is upset with me for not keeping her company. We have been friends for 3-4 years and are very close. We both have social anxiety and find it difficult to make friends, and I think that is why we bonded so much. Here's the context of today's situation. I am on mobile, so apologies in advance for any formatting issues. So we went out to the bar with a pretty large group of friends acquaintances. We knew everyone who was going and have spent considerable time with them, of course, some more than others. When we get there, we are both feeling pretty socially anxious and worried. We walk around the group and say our hellos, then go to sit by ourselves. A friend of mine comes up to us and invites us to join their group. I look to my friend for confirmation before agreeing, and we all find a place to sit. For clarity's sake, I will refer to the friend that I am making this post about as B. B and the other friend know each other, albeit not as well as the other friend and I do, but they are very friendly and easygoing, so I did not see why they would not get along. The group gets talking, but B is not participating. We eventually move over to the pinball machines and a few of us play a few rounds before B looks at me and says she is going to go hang out with her friend. I say all right and stay with the group I am more comfortable with, figuring that she would come find me if she wanted to hang out more. The other friend and I rarely have time to sit and talk, so I was happy to be able to do so. An hour or more passes before B and I see each other again. Her friend comes up and chats with our group, and B gives me a signal to follow her. So I do. We get a couple drinks and sip on them, get some air, etc. We make some small talk, then mingle a little bit with people we have not spoken to much throughout the night. I want to go back to my small group and offer to let B join us. She declines, saying she is not really comfortable with them and is in conversation with someone else, so I go off to talk to my friends again. I kept visually checking to make sure she was not alone, and seemed to always be with someone when I saw her, so I did not think much of our being separated. It is time to head out, so we meet back up. We carpooled, and she is quiet, so I ask if she is alright. She gives me a yup with a lot of attitude, so I drop the conversation. I try making small talk in the car and she is just completely silent, not really giving me much to work with, so I just drive and listen to the music. We were heading to a second spot to hang out. Later on she seems to be feeling better, talking a lot and smiling and laughing, cracking jokes, so I wonder if I misread the attitude from earlier and maybe she was just anxious from the socialization. But then I catch a peek at her phone and she is ranting to one of our friends about how I ditched her and nobody kept her company. And she makes a comment to my face about how I left her alone, to which I reiterated that she was more than welcome to have sat in the chair that was empty next to me all night. And she said something like I did not want to. And now I am home. B did not say a word when I dropped her off and is not texting me. I would like input from you all about this situation. Was I a bad friend to B for not sticking around the whole time? Should I apologize? How can I improve this situation? It seems like there was a miscommunication between you and B at the bar. You made an effort to include her in your group, but she declined and wanted to be with her other friend. It's unfortunate that she's upset now and ranting to others about being left alone, but you can apologize for any misunderstanding and express that you thought she wanted her space. Hopefully, by having a conversation and clearing the air, you can improve the situation and address any issues. I found out that my fiancé have been untruthful. Do I cancel everything? My fiancé and I are supposed to get married in April. He recently moved in with me in September of last year. We've been dating for 5 years. We had a few disagreements as we adjusted to living together, but nothing serious. However, things have taken a turn in the past 3 weeks. It started on New Year's Eve when he went out drinking with his friends. I don't drink much and I was tired from Christmas celebrations, so I stayed home. I asked him to come back before midnight, but I understood if he couldn't. He returned around 2 a.m. He was a little drunk, but not heavily. He then told me that one of his New Year's resolutions was to have a designated our day every week, and we chose Saturday. The following week on the first Saturday, I was excited for our day and ordered takeout for a relaxed day together. However, he got up and went to play a video game with his friend instead. When I confronted him about it, he suggested maybe Sunday. I was hurt and stopped talking, isolating myself while he continued gaming. For the next 4 days I stopped talking, cooking, and doing any housework. I focused on myself and went to work as usual. This was unlike me, as in the past 5 years, I would usually forgive him quickly. Eventually I broke the silence when I noticed he hadn't been eating properly or showering since I stopped talking. We made up, talked about it, and things were okay again. About a week and a half after that initial argument, we were playing board games when he received a call and quickly declined it, saying it was an unknown number that might be a scam call. I thought it could be the person evaluating our energy usage for the house, so I called the number back. It turned out to be a man asking for my fiancé. I questioned who he was, and he said he had been showing my fiancé some flats around town. I was devastated. I confronted him about it, and he admitted to lying for the past 2 weeks and going house hunting without telling me. He claimed he felt less attracted to me because I hadn't been losing weight like I said I would for the wedding, and that I constantly stress eat. I was surprised because I had been handling all the wedding planning alone, on top of having a demanding job in social care. Even when exhausted, I would still cook for him. I couldn't believe he had planned all of this behind my back while I was at work, when he couldn't even plan a simple date. Since then, he has spoken to his general practitioner and started taking antidepressants again. He has also suggested couples counseling. I wish I could provide more details, but I'm aware that this is already quite long. I'm at the point where I just want to cancel everything, but I'm afraid I may be acting too hastily. Wow, that's really tough. It sounds like your fiancé has been dishonest, and it's clear that trust has been broken. It's understandable that you're feeling hurt and confused. Going to couples therapy could be worth a try if you're both willing to put in the effort to rebuild the relationship. But ultimately, it's up to you to decide if you want to continue with the wedding or not. I am considering uninviting my future sister-in-law and her husband to my wedding. I, a 31-year-old individual, wanted to install soffit LED lights around the exterior of my home and mentioned this to my fiancé's family a while back. My future sister-in-law's husband, who is 35 years old, started an electrician's apprenticeship and offered to install the lights for me. We agreed on a total cost of $2,400, which includes both labor and parts, and he began the work. He started working on the project in the first week of June, drilling 40 holes in the soffit of my house, which took about 4 hours. However, over the course of the following 3 weeks, he kept canceling and failing to show up at the agreed-upon times to complete the job. Eventually, I had a face-to-face conversation with him and informed him that I would find someone else to finish the job. My fiancé, who is 30 years old, and I decided to take matters into our own hands and complete the installation ourselves. Once he and my sister-in-law, who is 32 years old, discovered that we had completed the job without him, he called me and demanded the full amount as originally quoted. I disagreed, as he had only completed 4 hours of work and failed to show up for the remaining wiring and installation. In response, he started verbally abusing me, accusing me of being a scammer. He abruptly ended the call and proceeded to threaten me by contacting my fiancé's parents. This issue has created a significant rift within my fiancé's family. For the past 7 months, he and his wife have refused to interact with me, completely ignoring my presence or leaving the room when I enter. This situation has escalated to the point where my fiancé and I are contemplating uninviting them to our wedding, which carries great cultural significance. Despite countless attempts by my fiancé and her family to address and resolve the issue, H and his wife remained uncooperative until yesterday. My fiancé, my sister-in-law H, and I finally sat down with my fiancé's older brother, who is 38 years old, acting as the mediator. He identified the main issue as the payment dispute and suggested that H state the amount he believes he deserves. H quoted the full amount of $2,400, justifying it by claiming that drilling the holes was the most challenging part of the job and constituted electrical work. I disagreed, considering that 4 hours of work and his failure to show up for the remaining tasks did not warrant the full payment. Following a heated debate, he eventually agreed to lower the amount to $2,000, but I still felt it was excessive. Additionally, H did not apologize for his verbal abuse, accusations, involvement of my fiancé's parents, or threats. He insisted that his reaction was justified. While I acknowledged the need to compensate him for his initial work, the lack of discussion over the past 7 months, his failure to apologize, and his insistence that drilling the holes was the most difficult part of the job, make it difficult to find a satisfactory resolution where all parties are content. I have consulted with an electrician in my area to get an understanding of the percentage of the work attributed to drilling holes, and they stated it accounts for approximately 20% of the overall task. Therefore, I believe it is reasonable to withhold 80% of the payment from H. Although there may still be tension between H, his wife, and me, we are attempting to reach a point of reconciliation. Is there any hope for this situation? My fiancé is desperate to find a solution as she wants her sister to be present at our wedding. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. It sounds like a really unfortunate situation that has caused a lot of tension within your fiancé's family. In my opinion, it's fair that you're not willing to pay the full amount since H didn't complete the job and also behaved inappropriately towards you. I would suggest trying to find a compromise with H, perhaps offering a reasonable amount as compensation for the work he did, and emphasizing the importance of resolving the issue for the sake of family harmony. Hopefully, with open communication and understanding, you can find a resolution that works for everyone involved. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.